as he mentioned, my name is Jeff Molepske. I am the Director of Business Development for Black Label Capital. We are a private money lender based out of Plano, Texas. We'll give a short background here in just a minute. And with that being said, Tim is the Director of Capital Markets. Our host will be, or our guest will be joining us shortly, and her name is Liberty LeBron. We'll go into this in a minute, but she owns an appraisal company and an AMC, and we will go over what those each mean there. As you guys join in, there's a webinar chat feature, so feel free to, as questions pop up, feel free to put those in the webinar chat as they come up. So, and I see Jesse and Jasmine are logged in, and then a couple others are logging in as we speak. So with that being said, tell you a little bit about our company. So we are Black Label Capital, as I mentioned, based in Plano. We were founded in 2018. Our founder, Matt Podesto, is a Marine veteran that served in Iraq and Afghanistan. After he came back to the States, he decided he wanted to flip houses. He did that for a while, and then realized he really had really like the finance side of things, and that's kind of the genesis of Black Label Capital. So Matt had 20 to 30 flips under his belt before we kind of got that hard money lending side of things set up, and then we've taken off since then. So with that being said, we have a strong knowledge in mortgages. Tim has been in the industry for about 20 or 30 years. I have 14 years in traditional, or I guess it's about 12 years in traditional and 2 years in hard money now. And so that kind of gives us a little bit of our background, and we'll jump in from there. So, as things go on, just feel free to ask questions as they come up. We'll try to take them as the topics come on, but we just need to, whenever Liberty has the time, we'll kind of go from there.
Yes, every one of these gray hairs was earned in this industry. Every one of these gray hairs was earned.
Other than being the director of capital markets, Tim also has a good dad joke or two, and
no, I don't.
That's kind of his go-to there.
I've got two of them. One of them, my wife actually told me she hates my dad jokes. Why couldn't the Pirates play cards?
Why is that?
Because the captain was standing on the deck. Boom, boom. The other one is if cats, and I own cats, if cats could text you back, they wouldn't.
That's very true.
That's it, guys. That's it for the day.
Well, I apologize, guys. I know we're a few minutes in. We're still having technical difficulties.
I believe I just got a notice that Liberty should be signing on. It just asked me to okay her signing, and there she is. I believe she's signing in on her phone.
Yeah, I'm here.
There you are.
I got it.
Hey.
Hang on one sec. I'm trying to get the video thing up.
You guys, and on top of being an amazing appraiser, owning an appraisal company, she owns racehorses too. So that's our favorite part of it. Liberty and her racehorses. That's usually what she and I wind up talking about at meetings. I'll just go over, sit and talk to her about her horses. There you are.
Okay.
Hey, kiddo.
Hey, how are you?
We're doing well. So we're ready to go for you. We have up on the screen, I don't know if you can see it, is the one with the lovely pictures of all three of us. And
Yes,
then as you go through things, I guess I'm going to be scrolling through kind of the thing. So I'll turn this right now, but let me turn it. Come on. There we go.
Technology is great these days. So, Liberty, I gave a quick background about Black Label Capital, and I gave a quick background kind of about how we were founded and about Tim and I. But, you know, other than Tim's brief introduction about you and your horses, we haven't really talked about kind of much about you so brag about yourself for a minute. I mentioned that you have an appraisal company, and your AMC company is I don't want to say new, but it's been around for a couple months, but you've been an appraiser for a long time. And so brag about yourself. Tell us kind of what you got there.
Okay. Yeah, I decided to get out of the horse racing industry back in 2011, and I flipped my first house. And after I flipped that, I got real interested in the appraisal process of it. So in 2011, that was just after the crash. So what happened was, when I went through the schooling, it was really hard to find sponsors. And if anybody ever sees me call them or anything, they're like, hey, you got a San Antonio number. Well, what I ended up getting a sponsor, but it was almost at the end of the 2 years after I had already taken the classes, and I found a sponsor up here in Dallas. So I moved me and the kids and the horses up here, and worked for a guy. I worked for him for about 8 years, and then me and one of my really good friends decided to open our own appraisal firm at the end of 2020. And so we branched out and started our own appraisal firm at the beginning of January of 2021, and we've been rolling ever since. Now, the AMC part was something that we decided to go ahead and do because we've trained and have several appraisers in our own appraisal group. We've got 13, and the state only allows us 15, and then we have to become an AMC. So we went ahead and got that all started so that we could be in compliance with the state. And of course, we've also already had a few appraisers from other locations that are out in, regions that are hard to get appraisers sign up with us. So we actually have 18 on the panel now, out in Amarillo and El Paso. And so we could actually do appraisals all over the state now that we're an AMC, but we have actual foundation appraisers within the company. We have 13, and we've got 5 trainees right now as well in San Antonio, Houston, and here in Dallas.
That's awesome.
You kind of answered my question. I was going to ask, so where as an AMC are you covering now for there? And you actually got ahead of that and kind of answered it for me already.
Yeah, all of Texas. So
Okay.
every nook and cranny that we could cover in Texas. We're not we're not doing other states at the moment, but maybe that might be a long-term goal.
Okay.
But my partner, Van, and we've been very pleased with all of the appraisers that we've been training, and the ones that have joined our group. And everybody's just super great and very, very ethical. And we love our team. And they help us grow, and we help them grow.
That's what it's all about. Are you ready? You ready to go, Liberty? Okay. All right. So I'm gonna actually see if I can actually turn the page to the first one, and here it is. We're gonna start with how to submit. I don't know why we start with reconsideration.
I think you skipped one page, and
Did I?
Liberty.
Oh, I did right there. Okay.
We've got a webinar chat, so if it doesn't mess you up as questions come in or something kind of seems relevant to that section of it, we may pause if that doesn't throw you off your presentation too much, and let those questions as time relevant. And if it's something that needs to wait to the end, we'll go that route. So yeah. So
I know you're driving, Liberty. So what I'll do, let's make it easier. I don't want you reading and getting in a wreck or something. I'm gonna go ahead and read.
I'm not.
You're
I'm
parked?
stationary. I'm just in
Okay.
my car. Yeah,
Then
letting the AC run.
then you can take it from here. I won't have to read it to you then.
Okay. Is it supposed to pop up?
It doesn't. Oh, it should be.
So what it says, what is a real property appraisal? And then it says, what is the
Yes.
appraisal really for? And who does the appraiser really work for? So that's, you know, the first page there.
Well, a lot of people have the misconception that, especially the borrowers, they're like, oh, well, you're working for me. Actually, the lender is contracting us to secure their interests in the loan that you're obtaining. So we report to the lender. We can't talk about value or anything like that. The real property appraisal is for basically to secure the loan. It's to make sure that the lender and all the components that include it, like the contract, are legitimate and that the property is really that price. And so the appraiser goes and picks it apart and figures out if the contract is, true. So a lot of borrowers get upset because I paid for the appraisal, I should get the appraisal. Well, the lender actually, our laws make it where the lender gives it to you guys, to the borrowers. Is that good?
Well, it makes sense to us, but as I mentioned before you hopped on, Tim and I have over 40 years combined of working with mortgages and lending companies, so it makes sense to us. I don't have any questions on this section, so we'll move to the next page, and then I'll read it to you. So this is how to. Oh,
Am I out of order?
it says how to read an appraisal form, but I thought submittal of a rebuttal was next.
Oh, well,
No,
a lot of people don't know how to read appraisal form.
Okay, no, this is
there-
I'm very excited about this. Do you have this? Do you need me to read it to you, or you got it?
No, I understand.
Okay.
The appraisals are set. A lot of agents come to us with their theory that they go by the price per square foot, and that encompasses everything on the property. And the appraisal is actually the land plus improvements. So we have the land is the property, and then the house or whatever buildings on it are improvements. So when we do the appraisal, we have to pick everything apart. And Fannie Mae has our form. The 1004 is the basic one that we use. And it has about 15 different line items that we determine the value for. Like, for example, a realtor will say, hey, do I get any value for sprinkler systems? No, not necessarily, because it's not we can't find that kind of information. Most agents don't put that in there. All the houses might have sprinkler systems in the neighborhood. I know that your borrower or your seller might have, just paid $50,000 to get them installed, but there's no way to verify that. So we need verifiable evidence, which we go to the second page of the appraisal. And on the second page, it's the grid. It's what we call the grid, and it's line items that go basically the 4 items that Fannie Mae considers to be non-reversible or anything. They're the 4 most important items, and they're the sales, the type of sale it is. It's the fee simple or leasehold. It's the concessions, and it's the location. So those things are not, you can't change that in the property. All the other items that are on there, such as maybe the view can change sometimes. Oh, the site size is also fixed, but the quality of the property can change over time. The condition can change. The square footage can change. It could grow. You could add stuff to the house and take away stuff. The same with bathrooms and bedrooms. So all those items are weighted a little bit less in their eyes. So we have to go line by line, and then there's the extra stuff that they'll give us. Say nobody in the neighborhood has fencing, but your house has fencing, and we could determine how much value that you know, would participate. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. We don't have fixed adjustments. We do match paired analysis and group data analysis and several different forms of analysis to determine how much that particular item is going to adjust for. So, you know, a 2-bedroom to a 3-bedroom, or a 2-bath to a 3-bath. All of those, I get that question a lot. How much is a bathroom adjustment? Well, it's not fixed. It's not a fixed adjustment. It depends on what a typical buyer is willing to pay for this bathroom. And, you know, if you have another bathroom, we need to determine that through a match paired analysis.
So match pair analysis, I've heard that over the years. Exactly what is that?
It's taking two, like you'll have 2 houses, and it's really easy to do in the lot and blocks. You know, you have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and you have a 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath, and they're both selling. One's selling for 300,000, and the other one with the 2.5-bath is selling for 305. So you could assume, because they're on the exact same lot, they have all the same amenities, that it's going to be 5,000 more for that half bath. Even though you might get a, you know, borrower that says it cost me 7,500 to have that half bath added, that's not what the market's willing to pay.
Okay. So then that kind of gets into some of the next questions, and there are ones over the years Jeff's heard, I know I've heard, you know, I spent 100 grand on my pool. Why are you only giving me a value of 50,000 on it? Why, you know, I had landscaping, this massive, beautiful landscape. It looks like I live in the forest. Why is that not worth anything to me? So, I mean, I think those are, and we have those actually asked questions, and you might want to wait to answer those until we actually get the questions. But I know those are the kind of things that are big in people's minds, because we tend to say an appraisal is an opinion. It's an opinion based on reasonable comparisons of like to like in the area. And that's just the generic explanation over the years in mortgage banking we've given. And so that opens the door to these questions. Well, they have a pool, my pool's better, my thing is this. So we'll go through this and we'll get to those. And I'm sorry that I took your time out of it. So the next one is, you actually answered that, how the parts are weighed in a value. And I think you just, with the match one, and then here's kind of where we got to already, why some amenities of a property aren't considered an evaluation. And in that, it would be discussion of principles of substitution and law of diminishing return.
Yes. So sometimes you can't find a match paired. So, which is really popular in farm and ranch, that kind of stuff. You might find they have a stock tank and nobody else in the farm and ranch has a stock tank. So you could do a principle of substitution, which you would do research and find out how much it costs to have that tank put in, and then you would apply it to something similar, which would be sometimes tornado shelters. They wash each other out pretty good, or they might have you know, a barn that you could do for a principle of substitution just for the purpose of the appraisal. So they come out to be about the same to install, and they might be at the same lifespan at that time. Say they've had the tank for 10 years, and then these people have had a barn for 10 years. So it takes a lot of research. That's one reason why ranch is a lot more expensive of an appraisal, because there's a lot of that goes on. And then the law of diminishing return. So we get this a lot. We'll get an agent that comes to us and says, we price the house at $250 a square foot, and our house is 2,500 square feet, but the price point that they send me all the comps, they'll send me 4 or 5 comps, and they're all 1,800 square feet. So the law of diminishing return says that you're not going to pay the same for a house that's bigger when you're building it. You're going to pay a little bit less per square foot than you would a smaller house. That's just how things work. So if you were to build an 1,800 square foot house and a 2,500 square foot house, it's going to cost you, it's going to cost you more, but you're going to pay because of the purchase of the wood and everything like that. You're going to get it at a discounted rate because you're using more of it. So, just like any type of, you go to a feed store, you buy feed and you get 2 tons, they give you 10 cents off a ton, 10 cents off a bag. And the same with wood, you go and buy a whole bunch of wood to build a house. And if you're building a bigger house, you're going to get a discount. So when you're trying to sell a house, it doesn't go by the same price. It'll actually be less a price per square foot than if you were to build a small house.
I use that as the buying in bulk analysis. So I tell people, if you go to Costco or Sam's, you get more for your money per unit than, on the other side. It's a little bit lesser value on it.
And then you just have nowhere to put it.
And then
Correct.
Jesse has a question. They say, I live in California and invest heavily in PA. In both states, my appraisals vary wildly on same properties. I understand part of it is an opinion and a value when it comes to the appraisal, but how can a borrower get more consistent appraisals?
Okay.
I see the wheels turning, Liberty, because it's a lot to
Yeah.
unpack, and it's 2 different states, but I think part of that, there's obviously a lot of variables. And Jesse, if you have a second, I assume these are single family residences. If you want to type those or send that in, but yeah, go ahead, Liberty.
Well, I want to make sure that he's not getting like BPOs that vary from the appraisals. These are actual legitimate appraisals for both. And the consistency is, I don't know how the other appraisers do it. I know we go through extensive training here in Texas, and follow as many regulations. We got to follow the regulations that are provided to us. As far as consistency goes, maybe look up the records of those appraisers, and also you could be a little more prepared if you have any idea of what your properties, if you're listing it and you have comps, you can maybe provide that appraiser with the comps that you utilize. They could look at them, not that they're necessarily going to use them, but if you feel that your property is more similar to this property, then sometimes that helps, because we have certain criteria that we need to put in, and each lender has their own criteria too. We try to follow the basic criteria of the market, and if the lender sometimes has their own type of criteria, like they want you to stay within 10% of the size or 10% of the condition, or they want them within a half mile. Now, those aren't industry standards, but it is something that you would have to follow.
And that's where I was going to go. And Jesse did say that that they're not BPOs, there are full appraisals. But yeah, I think that there's so many variables there, and it sounds like they have a handful of follow-up questions, so maybe they can email you. And you guys can break it down more. But I'm glad you brought up the distance, because that was something else that, some people like in the same neighborhood, some people say within 1 or 2 miles, or those sorts of things. So those are all variables that I've had, kind of bring up in the past with, different appraisers. As long as we're talking about it, I know since we're heavy on the investing side of things, is there anything that that you see on scope of works that you go, oh, I know this is going to help the value hit, or something that makes it? I mean, is there areas or certain rooms that help, or certain finishes that you see?
Yes, of course. So if you go and update the bathroom or your bathrooms, if you have more than one, update the kitchens, and flooring, that kind of stuff right there will help with increasing the value. It'll put it in another condition.
Mhm.
We have a little chart, and it says, has it been updated less than a year, or remodeled 1 to 5 years, 6 to 10. And anything that hasn't been updated in over 15 years, it's going to be at the lower condition.
Mhm.
Fannie Mae, set those little guidelines for us, and they figure that if you haven't done anything to the house in 15 years, then you're going to get the lowest of the conditions that lenders allow, which is what we call a C4, which is average, just average condition. So if you want to increase a value, or you want to get at the top, definitely do the kitchens and bathrooms. Now, don't overdo it. You don't want to be putting quartz in a neighborhood that, only has Formica countertops. You're overdoing it, and you're wasting money,
Mhm.
because you're not going to get your return. So you need to be aware of your neighborhood as well. And
Hey, I grew up in
or
Formica.
I did too.
right. So if you got neighborhoods that they're retiling the bathrooms, and they're putting in luxury vinyl plank everywhere, or hardwood floors, then you might want to do that as well. If you're trying to sell it, and you're going to put Formica in, and everybody else is putting quartz in, you're not going to get that quartz
Mhm.
price point. Also, the maintenance items that help are if you redo the windows and roof. Now, you don't have to do all of them, but it'll put you at the higher end of the market. But if you want to be at the top of the market for that neighborhood, you need to do the roof, you need to do the HVAC, the windows, the bathrooms, the kitchen, the flooring. And if you need to upgrade the electrical, depending on how old the house is, some
Okay.
plumbing, but that's hard on slabs, but the major systems, if you want to get what's called a C2 condition, all of that needs to be done. You can't just update the kitchens and expect it to be, at that high level, and you're throwing comps at me and they're completely remodeled, and we're like, no, we can't use that one.
Kind of dovetailing off of Jesse's question a little bit and backing up a little bit. So briefly, what's the benefit to a local appraiser versus a BPO? And two, when we're talking about comparing properties, comparing comps, really, what's the thing that gets the heaviest weight versus the least weight? Do we have age? Is it age, square footage, room count? I mean, if somebody's trying to comp something out, where should they be putting the weight on these things?
The weight should go on condition.
Okay.
It should go on condition first, and then square footage,
Okay.
and then bathroom count. And
Over
that's just
bedroom?
me. Yes.
Wow, I
Um,
didn't know that.
because a lot of times we'll do a match paired analysis, and if you have 3, 4, 5, or 6 bedrooms, it's pretty much left up to square footage. Square footage is usually superior. We usually don't find, it depends on the neighborhood now, don't get me wrong, but a lot of the neighborhoods, especially in DFW area, bedroom counts over 3 don't typically bring any more value. But if you're doing a match paired analysis between a 1 and 2 bedroom, or a 2 and 3 bedroom, sometimes it'll bring value. Now, condition is always superior. And it's above on our grid, and it usually determines a whole lot more than a bedroom or a bathroom. You know, the condition usually is, if you're going from a C3 to a C4, usually there's a bigger difference than there is a bedroom or bathroom adjustment.
I'm glad I asked that. Those answers surprised me. Okay,
Really?
we're gonna. Yeah,
How
they
come?
did actually. I was
What did
surprised
you think?
bathroom count being so high. That actually surprised me. Shouldn't. I came from a large family. I understand waiting in the hall, but it still surprised me. So, so flipping the page on the next one here. Wait. That's our next one,
Well,
right, Jeff?
you had asked me to go back between a BPO and a local appraiser.
Right. So our understanding of BPOs, just kind of putting it all out there. We do use BPOs. BPOs, and Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, and you can actually add to it, are essentially an emotionless computer comparison. It is just the facts, ma'am. I mean, that's all a BPO is, because they look at what the computer says and they adjust to those numbers. But I know with a local appraiser, we hear this from borrowers all the time. Give me an appraiser who knows the area. Why is that an issue? Why is that a big point? I mean, aren't the numbers the numbers?
It also is competence. Like there's a lot of spots in Dallas that I can go, and I know the quality of this house getting built, and I know the quality of that house getting built. Based on the builder, all the research, me walking through a lot of those houses and knowing the difference in the finishes. A local appraiser will usually have more competence than, like we had a situation where there was an appraiser that was coming from Washington down here, and she was about 40 grand off on everything. And I didn't understand how she could, be competent in the area, not knowing, she just basically, like a BPO, threw a bunch of data together and didn't go through each comp, didn't go through the area to see that it was, a little bit higher. It was selling, this particular little pocket of Dallas was selling higher than across the street. So that can make a difference. She didn't see the different school districts. She doesn't know the importance of different school districts in DFW. I mean, you could go to the west side of Marsh Lane and the east side of Marsh Lane, and you can see that it's a couple $100 grand higher.
Wow.
So yeah, there's a big difference. And the same house is built on both sides, but because of that school district, you're not gonna be getting the money that you want on that side.
That's huge. No, that's hugely important. Turning the page, Jeff, can you see it? The next page?
So this is how to submit a reconsideration of value. So the main or the topic there says realtor feels like the appraisal is way off base. What is the next step?
Yell at the realtor.
No. Sometimes the realtors, they they're going by price per square foot, and a lot of it is that their price per square foot was based on smaller comparables. And so the best way to go about doing a reconsideration of value is you need to pull your comps that you feel are better than the ones that I already pulled, and submit them, and explain, okay, this comparable is more similar because of this reason, and this comparable is more similar because of this reason. So when they go through the appraisal report, they have an idea that it should have been this amount, but these are the comps that we use to come up with this price. And so that sometimes is helpful, sometimes it isn't, but we'll take a second look. You got to submit it through the lender. We can't just take the comps back and say, okay, we're going to revise the report, because the lender owns the report. So you have to go through the lender and say, hey, I would like a reconsideration of value. They send it to us, and then we'll review the comps, and then we'll tell you why we could use them or why we couldn't use them. And if we could use them, then we'll put them in with the data that we have, and, you know, usually revise the original opinion of value. But if we can't, we'll give you a little summary as to why they weren't able to be used for the report.
I always feel like
It's real
people,
simple.
yeah, I always feel like when people want to have a reconsideration of value, it's a matter of that they want to send houses that haven't closed yet. I'm like, well, that's great that
Yeah.
they have it listed for $1 million
Yeah.
or whatever, but until it closes, I mean, I know you have a whole set of guidelines, but I always liken it to if back in school, if you went back to your teacher and said, hey, I think I deserve a better grade. Well, that's great that you think that. Give us the hard facts. And, you know, sometimes I've been able to, you know, come back on it. Not that Liberty's ever done any of ours wrong. She's always perfect. But when I worked for a previous national lender on the traditional side, they missed one of the bedrooms, and I don't know how they missed it because it was the primary, and they completely missed a bedroom. And I came back and said, hey, here's the listing pictures. You can tell it's the primary bedroom. And then they, you know, they reconsidered it and got it back in. But yeah, it's yeah, got to match all those
Well,
considerations.
we're all human, and we do make mistakes like that. And it's not very often, but we do. But we try to be real diligent in our duties and stuff like that. But I do want to say that as far as reconsideration of value on listings, see, we can't use those. We don't even give weight to them in the appraisal. They're just there for the lender to see what's available in the neighborhood that's similar to the subject. We put them in the report for the lender, but we don't put weight on them as value. We need it set in stone, and setting in stone is a close date on it. It's been settled and the transaction is firm, and so that's the comps that we use.
So now this is a question really kind of geared specifically to what we're doing with people doing fix and flips and new constructions. How do you come up with an ARV value, which is a value going to be based on once this scope of work is done or the new house is built at some point in the future? So how exactly do you go into figuring out what that's going to be at that point in the future?
Most of the ARVs are done as the day that we do the inspection. The projections of ARVs haven't been done based on market trends or anything like that, because the market's too fluctuating at
Okay.
this point. So the value is based on as the effective date. The effective date is the day that we step foot on the property, and we do the ARV based on that. Now, if you're wanting a projection, that's going to be completely hypothetical, and a lot of lenders, a lot of hard money lenders, they don't want a hypothetical appraisal. They're like, well, how much would it be if it was remodeled today? So that's the ARVs that we generally do.
Okay.
So if the market drops and you're completing your project 6 months from now, there's a chance that the value will go down from the date we did the appraisal. And however, Dallas is pretty solid, so that we're not seeing that. We're seeing some stability in some areas, but for the most part, it still has a slight increase. I hope that
Okay.
helps.
No, it does. I mean, just I know a lot of people, with a lot of our clients, struggle with coming up with a reasonable ARV when they're trying to submit this thing and saying, "Hey, I have a great deal on this house. That's this decrepit old thing falling down. And I think I can fix it up in 6 months to where it's worth, you know, 2.5 million." And so it's coming up with what is a realistic actual ARV, and rather than waiting 6 months and realize that they were overshot it by 2 million.
If they
So-
if they add that projection percentage, if they add a projection percentage in there, they could overshoot it.
Okay.
If at least they're doing appraisals or we're doing the appraisal, it's as the effective date, which is 6 months prior. So basically, if they end up selling the house, they've kind of got a little equity hiding behind the value that we gave them 6 months ago.
That's actually, no, that's good to know on that one. I think we're gonna finish that. What's next? What can I do to increase the value of the property? Questions. I don't know what happened here.
Oh, what can I do to increase the value of the property? Property. Oh, yeah. No, and I think you talked about that briefly there,
Yeah.
on it, but you talked about the improving the grading, off of a C4 to C3 or C3 to C2, and then focus areas of bathroom, kitchens, etc. Yeah.
Yeah.
Upgrades,
mean,
renovated, and remodeled.
We
Okay, what
don't
is
see
it?
a whole lot of we don't see a whole lot of increase. People wanting to put a $70,000 or $90,000 pool or outdoor living. It's usually just a fraction of what it costs to actually do that. So if you're going up above and beyond, yeah, if you're going above and beyond, then I think you're over improving.
So is there an actual difference between using the word renovated and remodeled?
Yes. Renovated, you're going in and you're updating stuff. Remodeling is you're taking a wall down, you're moving the bathroom to another location, or you're adding a bathroom, you're adding a bedroom. Anything that has to do with the physical structure of the property or
Okay.
the improvement. If you're changing the original layout in any way, it includes framing and texturing and moving electric, adding electric or plumbing, that's remodeled. And renovating is just going through, putting new windows in, putting new floors in, maybe updating the kitchen. But if you're doing the exact same layout in the kitchen, but you're putting new cabinets in and stuff, that's not remodeled. That's just renovating.
Okay. That's nice to know. I kind of use the words interchangeably, so.
A lot of people do.
Hey, oh, I'll go to the previous one there. Oh, nope, just kidding.
I don't know why this
The
is doing this thing.
contact,
Here's what we're gonna do.
we want the contact information up. I guess that actually
Yeah.
has the website and the general number there, Jesse, but we'll try to get you Liberty's contact information directly there. So I know we kind of jumped around and we answered some questions in and about, but Liberty, was there any other major areas that have popped up recently that you haven't that we didn't talk about? Go down.
Now we got that, and there's our contact. Okay. I fixed how I scroll so I can do this a little bit easier. There we go, guys.
I can't really think of anything. I mean, you guys could pop the questions at me and I could answer them. Basically, an appraisal is your security on what the lender's gonna be able to obtain the loan for. So you're gonna be getting your loan based on what we find. And the best thing to do is, update it and get it as pretty as possible.
There, definitely. And just because I think it's an interesting situation, our friend in Greenville, that I guess you talked to him recently, he has a larger lot
Yeah.
and he's looking to split those out and then add a bathroom. I kind of walk me through I mean, I know it's all speculation until you do the actual report, but you have a recent report on the total lot. So I guess walk me through kind of the thought process on the adding a bathroom and a bedroom, balancing out kind of some of the value of an extra lot, or walk,
Well,
you know what
it
scenario I'm
depends
talking
on the
about.
area. Yeah, I don't know which
Okay.
one you're talking about, Sale Street. You it depends on the area, which Greenville, is a little bit less. So, as far as lots go, they don't cost as much as they do down in Dallas. And so you could probably see if you could wash it out, but I did talk to him about it, and it's not really going to be too much of a wash, because of the fact that the lots are smaller, and in the original appraisal it was around 20 grand for added to the appraisal for those lots that were with it, and the bathroom wasn't bringing as much. However, there are a couple of sales that did sell for a little bit more than the comps that I had. Now, the comps I had were contracted back in March and stuff, so it kind of it might make up for it if he's wanting to refinance it now.
Mhm.
But I told him he's not going to get more money, but it's not an equal, match paired analysis to add a bathroom, and not for that area anyway.
Well, and that's kind of what I thought. And he had talked to, and I guess I hadn't talked to you about it. I just thought that was a weird comparison. But real quick, if anybody else has questions, you can type them into the chat box. You can type them into the questions. We'll get them going there. And then just go over. I know you kind of touched on it early, but just can you talk about the different types of licensing appraisers that you have? Because I know you have certain ones that do large or high dollar ones. You have ones that can do certain
Right.
lots in that. I mean, and you don't have to die. I mean, we don't need to know everybody's license, but kind of the brief overview of a couple of different of the major ones that your AMC uses.
Well, there's 3 types of appraisal licenses in Texas. You have the licensed appraiser, which I am, and then you have certified residential appraiser, which my partner Van is, and we've got a couple other appraisers in our group that are certified, and a couple of them that are trying to get certified. And then there's a general appraiser, which they do commercial, and we don't have anybody in our group that does commercial, basically for insurance reasons. And you need a little bit different type insurance coverage for those commercial appraisers, but we do have some friends that do that. And commercial, like our license can do, just a regular licensed appraiser can do up to $1 million property, $1 million transaction. And then the certified appraiser can do anything over $1 million. And we could do 1 to 4 units, so up to a quadruplex. But anything over 4 units, then you'll need a commercial appraiser, commercial appraiser, general appraiser, in order to do that. They're considered apartments at that point.
What about a mixed use property? And then I know this may sound like a silly question, but we have one, and somebody actually asked the question. I knew the right answer. I just didn't know how to explain it. You have a bicycle shop on the first floor and 2 units on top. So we're under 4 units, but we do have a commercial shop and park, so it's mixed use. Is that going to be, would a regular appraiser be able to complete that, or would we have to use a general?
You would have to use a general. If it's being utilized for commercial, then you would have to use a general.
Okay. So I said, but I couldn't think of a good reason why, other than the fact that that's what I'd been told. It's like, so Mom told me. So
no, it's Texas wouldn't allow us to do that.
okay.
If they're utilizing it, we have like farm and ranch. Like I did a property that had a bee farm attached to it, and luckily it was actually on its own tax ID and everything, so I could do the appraisal on the ranch next door, but I couldn't do the appraisal on the bee farm.
Interesting.
Really?
Correct.
So
Because
there's no.
it was commercial. It was commercial.
We're going off into a little bit of a rabbit hole, but that one kind of fascinates me. So on a bee farm, there's really no structures or minimal structures. There's the hives where they build for. So what are you possibly appraising? The raw land?
Well, they did have a shop there. They had a shop
Okay.
where they sold the honey and the wax and everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to scroll down here one more time, I think. And there's your information, Liberty. Although we just they got questions. There's your cards. There's more information for you guys. If anyone wants to have Liberty's information, there it is.
Well, I
And that's all I
appreciate you
have.
coming on, Liberty. It's always informative when we talk. So I appreciate you taking time out of your day, and yeah, we'll get this posted to YouTube in a day or two, and we'll go from there. But thank you so much for coming out.
Yeah, thank you very much, you guys. It was wonderful. And if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
And Jesse already said he sent you an email, so
I saw it come through.
perfect.
Thanks, Jesse.
All right, thank you, Liberty. Have a great day.
Thank you, Liberty.
All right.
You have a great day too. Bye,
All right,
guys.
bye-bye.
Bye. Oh my.